Hi, I'm Carole. Welcome to my Creating Corner. I'm so glad you found me. If you click subscribe, you'll get notified the next time I can post a video. It's been a while, but I think I've gotten all of my technical difficulties straightened out and replaced. But now we're here together, and what are we going to work on? Ooh, I'm using the Pirates and Mermaids stamp set, and we're doing this adorable little mermaid card using the layering dioramas and embossing paste. Yes, this card was inspired by the example on page 58 of our annual catalog, and I think this one might be a shaker card. I don't know, but anyways, if you don't have a US demonstrator and you don't have our 2021 to 22 catalog and you need one, just contact me. I'll be more than happy to put one in the mail to you and get it on its way to your house. Okay? All of my contact information is down below. So let's get started and take a look at how we got this cutie pie together. And if you hang around at the end of this video, I'll show you a cute little card I did using the pirate from this set. Thanks. Let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start by doing just my regular card base. I've got my Pool Party cardstock here, and it is 8.5 by 11. So for your typical card base, you're just going to slip it in the Stampin' trimmer. And right here is the 5.5. It's so easy to see. You just line it up at the 5.5. Now the dark blade is the cutting blade. So you just cut it. There you go. Flip it, come to 4.25, and with the light blade, you just score it. And there is your regular card base, and I'm going to give it a good rub with my bone folder, and I'm going to set this aside. And now I'm also going to need a 4.25 by 5 card front. Because of the way I'm layering it up, I need a card front that is the same size. So with this other half, I know it's 5.5 already. So I'm just going to put it in lengthwise, and with the cutting blade, cut it to 4.25. Easy peasy. Let me put my Stampin' trimmer aside, put it down there. I've also got 2 basic white card panels, and as you see, using my grid paper here, which is in the catalog also, they measure 4 by 5.25, and that way they'll fit nicely. Well, one of them will be for the embossing, for the embossing powder, and they'll hide nicely behind the layer. And the other one is going to be used for the inside. Alrighty, so let's go ahead. Because the embossing paste does have to dry, I want to start with my embossing paste. I'm going to be using the Decorative Masks, and this set is called Plenty of Patterns, and it's got these lovely designs, all these cute little flowers, and the pattern that we're going to be using today is this fan or shell. So I'm going to take my grid paper, and I'm going to make sure that my panel is straight, and then I'm going to make sure that my mask is straight. Now I am going to have it behind some layers, so if I did get it crooked, I could hide it, but you may as well just do it right when you do it. Got me? So this is the large thing, well, the regular thing, but look how big it is, of embossing paste. You can color it before you use it, but I'm going to be doing a little technique with it, so I'm going to keep it white, and got it on my spatula. And I'm just going to, whoops, this is a little, there we go. And I'm just going to smear it all the way across my panel. Yep. probably should have had another piece of scratch paper underneath this since I'm getting it on my grid paper. I'll switch that out in a moment. So you just push it down through the openings. You do want to, put a little bit of pressure to make sure it does get all the way through the opening. And kind of scrape it so it comes smooth. Put your extras in there. Yeah. There we go. You take it off and there you have beautiful powder embossed panel, which we will set aside so that it can dry. Now, before we do anything else, we shut the embossing paste so it doesn't dry up, and we have to clean off the spatula and the mask. If you wait until this embossing paste dries, good luck getting it clean. This stuff dries hard and it is a bear to get off. Now to clean them, it's no problem. Just use a baby wipe like I've got right here, or a wet cloth, or just take it to the sink and wash it off in the sink. It really, let me take, oh goodness. I really should have put something underneath that panel when I was embossing, because now I've got it all over this. So let me grab another piece of grid paper, and there we go, and we'll continue. Okay, nice clean sheet of grid paper here. You know, on one side it is measured in inches, and on the other side is your metric with your centimeters. So this is really a lovely paper to use it with for your crafting, regardless of where you live. You've got your measurements right there. Okay, so moving on. I want to emboss my pool party panel with the Bark 3D embossing folder. It'll just give a kind of wavy ocean current idea. Now with the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders, they have this line here, which is awesome, so that you know you're getting it straight. So you get your panel straight. Now with the ocean current, maybe that wouldn't be too important, but if you were embossing, say, a brick wall, yeah, you want it straight. Let me grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is the bomb. Let me show you. This is the main base, and printed right here on the base, it tells you how to set it up if you're embossing with a 3D folder, or cutting. It has it right there, so it's foolproof, or pretty much foolproof anyway. And the sides fold up so you can store it out of the way so neatly. Okay, so I'm going to be embossing, and on the embossing folder, it told us it's a 3D folder. The Bark is a 3D folder. So here we see use with 3D embossing folders number 1 and number 4, which is the specialty plate. So I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to put my folder through with the fold side, not the open side. The closed side is going to lead off into my folder, into my machine, and then I've got my specialty plate that I'm going to put on top. And then just roll it on through. Easy peasy. And we have a nice wavy finish. Okay. Let me get my embossing folder out of the way. my special tissue folder out of the way. While I've got this up here, I'm going to go ahead and do my cutting. Now, let me move it out of the way. Using the layering diorama dies, I need to do this opening and this opening. This is the Mercury paper. I'll get to that in just a moment. So we're going to go ahead and cut the opening for the opening through the pool party. And I'm using the layering diorama dies, which is right here. Now these are so cool. Look how neat those are. The ones I'm using for this card is the 3rd from the outside and the 5th from the outside. There we go. These aside. Okay, I'm going to cut the opening in the pool party panel first. Don't you love saying that? Pool party panel, pool party panel? I got to stop that. Okay, now, looking at our base, if I'm cutting, I want to use number 1, which is this, number 2, which is this thin plate, and then I want to sandwich my paper and die with 2 number 3s. So how's that going to look? There's number 1, number 2, and now my number 3 plates are my clear plates. So I put 1 on the bottom, going to get my panel, and I'm going to put my die on the panel where I want it. I want about there. Okay. And I take my other number 3 plate and I put it on top. And then I just roll it through. Look how easy it rolls. Can you tell I'm only using just a couple of fingers to hold it and turn this crank? Stampin' Up! Products work so well together. Okay. So there we go. There's my opening. Yay! In my pool party. So while I have my diorama dies out, I'm going to go ahead and do the opening in my Mercury glass. Now this is the Hydrangea Hill Mercury glass, which is so pretty. I don't know if you can see with this glare, but some of it is this beautiful pink and some is the gorgeous grape. So I'm using, well, this one happens to be pink on the other side. I'm using the silver side. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. And look, I'm going to layer this over that just to make sure I have everything lined up correctly so I know where I'm going with the die. Put that down. I'm going to take this die. Let's see, can you see what I'm doing here? And I'm going to see how I want it. That will be lovely. So let me take the pool party layer off. Put my thing back on there. And now just run it through. Yeah, cutting that Mercury glass paper does make a bit of a crinkly sound, doesn't it? All right. Let's see what we got here. There we go. Yes. Perfect. We are not attaching these together yet because we have some other things that we're going to put in between. Yep. And while I'm talking about that, I should go ahead and do it. Get these guys put in here. Okay, in my example here, I used the Flora from the Under the Sea, which is a retired die set. For this card that we're doing together, I'm using the current dies, Smooth Sailing, and it's got the sailboats, the lighthouse, an anchor, all kinds of really cool things, but it also has this seaweed. So I have a piece of soft seafoam and a piece of the fresh Freesia. Fresh Freesia is one of our new in colors. So I'm going to cut 2 of the sea flora from each one of these. Okay? And you'll see why in a moment. Okay. There's one. I guess I could have done this before getting on with everybody. Sorry. 2. That one didn't come out, so let me grab my Take Pick tool and just give it a little pick. There we go. Now let me run my fresh Freesia through. Oops. There's one. And number 2. Oops. Glad it's not breakable. Alright. There we go. Alrighty. And now let's go ahead and stamp this Sweet Sentiment in fresh Freesia. Notice I'm just tap, tap, tapping. Now when you've got an ink pad and a stamp, one is probably going to be bigger than the other. And in that case, you're going to have the bigger of the two on the table. So here you see the stamp pad is larger, so it's on the table, and just tap, tap, tap. And stamp it off to make sure everything is inked up and that you don't have a little halo around it. Stamp, stamp, stamp. And there we go. Now you might want to leave it on there for like the count of 3 to allow the paper to drink up the ink. And let me grab my simple chamois to clean off my stamp. Just sucks the ink right off, and I'll put that out of the way. Okay, before I put my cutting machine completely away, my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, I'm going to cut out my sentiment. I'm using the Stitched So Sweetly dies. I cannot believe how often I use these dies. They are fantastic. You've got these little roughly edged rectangles, and then these beautiful panels that you can cut in all different sizes, and I'm using the very smallest rectangle. Okay, let me get my machine back up here. Set that on there. You are so mermazing. You just mermazing. Okay. And then back through. Yes, I am knocking things all off my table. Oh well. It's okay. There's my sentiment. Just perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. And put this die back. Slip it in out of the way. All right. Now let's worry about the mermaid. Isn't she cute? We are going to stamp her with Staz-On. Now these two are pretty much the same size, but the Staz-On is a really hard pad, so instead of tap, 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 we're going to rub her. We're just going to rub her around. She's going to do the shimmy and shake. Okay? And on that same piece of scrap that we did our sentiment from, we're going to stamp her. There we go. And I used the Staz-On Black so that when I use my markers, the ink won't run. And since it is Staz-On, I'm going to use the Staz-On Cleaner. Now you can use this on your red rubber stamps, but it's not really recommended to use on your photopolymer stamps. But it does such a good job at getting that black ink off. Now, of course, you and I both know if your stamp is stained, it still works, but it's just kind of nice to have a nice, pretty, clean stamp. Okay, and that's permanent black. Not so permanent when you're using the Staz-On Cleaner. Okay, let's put these aside. Now to color her, I'm using my Subtles collection of my Stampin' Write markers. Okay, I've chose the Pear Pizzazz to do the little leaves. Here you go, Highland Heather, and you notice there's a thin line and a thicker line. That lets you know if it's the thin point or the brush point. So you're not pulling lids off continuously to see which end you have. So I'm using the Highland Heather to fill in the flower in her hair. I'm going to keep this Highland Heather out a moment. Okay. And here I've got So Saffron, and I want to use the brush end for her hair. What color hair do you think mermaids would have? Blonde, brown, green? I think they're probably kind of greenish all over. Or maybe gray. Okay, now for her tail, I've got, primarily I'm going to be using Soft Seafoam and Pool Party. Now watch how I do this. I'm going to fill in this part with the Pool Party and some of these scales down here. But then I'm going to come back here with the Soft Seafoam and go over a couple of those and fill in some with just the Soft Seafoam. And I'm going to come back with the Pool Party and one or two, and you see it kind of makes a little bit of a different color there. I think I better have the Soft Seafoam base touching over there. And I'm going to color that in there. Yes, I like that. So it kind of gives a couple different little colors, sort of almost an iridescence to her tail that you couldn't otherwise get using just one. Okay, now what I actually did is, this does not have a die, so using these paper snips. These paper snips, honest to Pete, are the absolute best kept secret. They are amazing. They're just the perfect size to fit in your hand. They are sharp as all giddy gog, and it's got this great point on the end. But I've already cut out the mermaid. So there we go. Let's go ahead and see if this embossed panel is dry. Yes, it is. Let me put these away. I'm done with these Stampin' Write markers. And you know, also, by the way, I could have colored using these markers straight on her tail if I wanted to, for the outline, if I didn't want the outline in black. Or I could have used the markers to color the sentiment. The Stampin' Write markers are great for that. You can't do the blends, but the Stampin' Write markers, yes, you can color on your stamp. So I'll get those out of the way. Okay, let's see how everything's looking. That looks good. I'm going to not do anything with that yet. Okay. Let's see, how high up do those come? Okay. So what you could do is cut this so you have one of them one color and another the other, which I'm probably going to do. I think I'm going to have the taller ones be green and use the shorter ones in the fresh freesia. Okay. Let's see how this is going to look. We're going to end up putting these between the panels. So let's see, there we go. Let's get this one. Yeah, I think that'll look good. Now we don't attach anything until we're done with all the parts. So I think that is probably going to be pretty good. Okay, let's set that aside. Let's look at our embossing paste. Okay, now we're going to use these amazing blending brushes. Okay, I'm going to be using fresh freesia and soft seafoam. Let me find one for my soft seafoam. There we go. Okay. Okay. Actually, for the sake of just in case, I'm going to ink up with some Pool Party down here because I'm not really sure how far it's going to go, how far the opening will go and what all's going to show. So here's some Pool Party to get the party started, and some soft seafoam, and just tap, 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 and just add what you need. There we go. And add some more Pool Party down here, make it a little bit deeper in case it does show up. There we go. And you don't have to be all delicate and careful with this embossing paste because it is dry and it is hard. Okay, now the fresh freesia. Let's see what we got here. Oh, isn't that pretty? Alrighty, I think that's pretty good. Let's get a little bit more green in here. There we go. A little more green, a little touch of blue down here. Yes, perfect. Now if you have like enough blending brushes where you can have one brush per color family, it makes it really simple. You don't have to worry about ink going from one to another. All right, now let's see how we want our stuff. Oh, doesn't that look nice? I think that looks really nice. Okay, so we're going to line this up. There we go. Is that how we want it? Do we want a little more showing? Actually, I think that's fine. I think it's fine setting it up the way it goes. Okay. Now let's see. Now yes, you can have it hanging off the bottom. It's paper. You trim it off, right? Let's come up a little bit. does that look? That looks good. Let's go ahead and put a little more green in here. Okay, we'll get another green. Let's put a pink one up, tall pink one, just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. There we go. That's looking good. I think that's nice. And we'll set her, that's a lot. Let's get this one out of here. I know, it's all a process. It's all a process. It's like what's catching your eye. So I guess I'll put these tall ones in the back and the short ones down front. Kind of like taking your class picture. Okay. And let's just have a wee little piece of pink peeking up. This paper's like curling and it's a little difficult. There, I think that's good because we don't want to hide all of the mercury glass and we don't want to, yes. And we'll put her in the corner right there. I think that, do we want her with the backdrop of that? Maybe a little piece right there. Yeah, I think that might be it. Okay, so I'm going to grab some glue dots here and leaving it as is. The first thing I'm going to do is put the seaweed, the flora, on the mercury glass. Oh, there we go. That's going to be the last one. These two. Okay. And putting the glue dots on the back is not a mystery. There we go. And that one's going up the side right there. And this one is going to go here. And remember, you're going to have the panel on top kind of helping hold everything down and together too. Okay? Alright. Now, these two I'm going to go ahead and hook, connect those. There we go. Did I say I wanted that little piece up there? Oopsie. I think that's good. I think that's okay. I don't think it needs any more. Okay, now I'm going to put tear and tape on the back of this Hydrangea Hill paper. Because it is so slick, I really like using the tear and tape instead of a liquid adhesive. So, got these tear and tape on the back of my mercury glass paper. and I'll use this, will attach to the embossed panel quite nicely. There we go. And of course I always have to stand up to do this. Alright, and still making sure that we like it and don't want to add anything else. You know, once you get it all put together, you're kind of done adding. Alright, now I'm going to put some tear and tape on the front side of my Mercury glass paper. So I can attach the panel. You know, and if I had put the other piece of fauna on here, flora on here, then I would have just trimmed it off. It's paper, it cuts. You put it where you want it, and you trim it away from where you don't need it. Okay, there. There. All right. And making sure that the bottoms of your seaweed's covered. There we go. See, and if you don't press it down, you do have a minute to adjust. Yay! Okay, so now we just need to put our little mermaid on here and our sentiment. I'm going to grab some dimensionals to do that. Yep. And where did we say we were going to put her? Right about there. I think that's good. Yes. Okay. So. Don't be shy with the dimensionals. They're just, you know, pennies. Pennies each. And I think I'm going to use a little piece of one for over here. Okay. And easy to pull the things off. Oh goodness. This is taking a little bit longer than I thought, but isn't it cute? She is coming together. Okay, now I got a little piece of the dimensional is showing. So I'm going to take my sticky scissors. I've got a pipe cleaner wrapped around it so I know these are the ones to use. I really strongly recommend, if you ever make a mistake, which don't be shy, we all do, you need to trim something that's got adhesive on it. Keep a pair of scissors specifically for cutting sticky stuff, okay? It will make your life easier in the long run. So there, we've got her on there, cute. Now all we need is the sentiment. And we are almost done, guys. We are almost done. You're so mermazing. Let's put that there. Yes! How cute is that? Of course we want to have a little bit of something shiny, right? So holiday rhinestones here. Now the easiest way for me to get the rhinestone off is to grab it and spin it, and that works well for me. And there are 3 different size rhinestones. I usually like to put the smallest up the top, the medium size in the middle, and I'll anchor the bottom with the larger size. There we go. Cute. Oh, I'm excited. We're almost done. We're almost done. Okay. Now you see on the back how the panels are a little off. That's all right. Everything is where it needs to be. Everything is fine. Actually, is that showing a little bit? Be sure not to get your fingers in there. There is a little tiny bit of the mercury glass showing right there. So let's trim that off. There we go. There we go. And let's put this down. Now again, this is going to cover the entire front. Because I like being able to use the larger of the Diorama dies to really let the paper and the embossing show through. Okay, if I made it, you know, a 1/4 inch smaller, then everything would have had to be smaller. But I love it! Okay, let's get the inside done. I do like to stamp the inside before I attach it, just, you know, in case there's an oops. So I'm going to take my fresh Freesia and I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Yes, oops, I got a little on there, so let's wipe that off. Tap, tap, tap. There we go. Tap, tap, tap. There's 1. Tap, tap, tap. There's 2. Tap, tap, tap. And 3. And I didn't quite plan on putting so many on here, but that's okay. I'm just putting some little starfish on there. And should we also add, I think that's good. I think that's good. There is this other little starfish that I was going to put on here, but yeah, let's go ahead and add a seafoam starfish or 2. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. There we go. Now, grab my simple chamois, clean off that, clean off that. See, it just takes one quick little swipe. See, nothing's left, just a little bit of water. Alrighty, take the wet glue. I do like to kind of use a lot so that I make sure it doesn't fall apart. And we will attach this. Do we want the stars at the top or the bottom? We'll put it at the bottom. Okay. And there we go. And there we have it. Now you can put like a congratulations in here. Happy birthday. I miss you. I love you. Whatever you want. Or you can just have all this room left open to write on your own. Isn't she cute? Oh, I do like this card. I hope you do. Oh, I almost forgot. I wanted to show you the pirate card I made using pretty much the same idea as the mermaid card, but with the pirate. Isn't he adorable? So I've got Pear Pizzazz. I did use the palms from In the Tropics die set. And you can see I have the layering dioramas. And I cut out the pirate and the little treasure chest. Those were fussy cut. This was palm tree was also from In the Tropics. I've got crumb cake and Pacific Point, and I did put both of these through the bark embossing folder. Now with the crumb cake, I did take crumb cake ink and I lightly went over the embossing to highlight the embossing to try to make it look more like sand. I do have some rhinestones on here, some champagne rhinestones for the little gold, and I put plenty of Wink of Stella for ahoy there matey, so he's pointing at the buried treasure on the island. Now, if I was going to put this in an envelope, I would have to trim off this palm tree. And inside, you're a treasure. Arr, should say something like arr, but we do have ahoy there matey. So here we go. This is using the Pirates and Mermaids stamp set from Stampin' Up. And we've got the mermaid card and we've got the pirate card, both using the layering Diorama dies in our new catalog. And if you do not have a United States demonstrator and you're in the US, you need one. I'll be more than happy to help you. You can send me a message and I'll send you a catalog, and all of my contact information is down below in the description box. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. See you soon. Bye.